Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today, something really intimidating, frankly, and a bit scary. Ooh, I need my scary emoji on the title of this one, really. It's loaned very kindly to the channel. Brand new kit's just come out. The Ryefield model, Tiger 1 initial production, but with full interior and cutaway parts, 2-in-1, upgrade version, and metal shells. And it's got just about everything. It's loaned to us by a good friend of the channel, Stuart Neal, our sort of Tiger, lord, guru, whatever you want to call him. But he really is the master of these kits in terms of, you just can't get enough of him. Not satisfied with this Tiger 2 Ryefield model upgrade version, he's now come and produced this one, or sent it on to us, having just arrived. But it's got, look at the size of this thing. I mean, it's huge. Now, this is not a cheap kit. Look at the size of that. It's very heavy. Retailing at about £87 in the UK as well, so it's not cheap. But then there's a lot of plastic in it. I know some of you, thinking of one or two of my friends and detractors of Ryefield, will say, "Oh, you won't use half of it." We'll see. But it's got a huge amount of stuff. I mean, just listen to this. So it says, metal barrel, workable tracks, cutaway hull sets, metal shell pieces 4, printed cable eyes in 3D, 3D printed headlights, 3D printed hatch cover, 3D printed drive wheels. Ooh, that's unusual. 3D printed muzzle brake, 3D printed fire extinguisher, and 3D printed smoke discharges. On top of which you've got photo etch clamps, photo etch fenders, photo etch stowage bin, photo etch exhaust cover, photo etched disassembled side skirts. Oh, this could take a while. I hope you've all got a drink, some snacks. You're going to need a big bottle of wine or a big pot of coffee or several bottles of beer or whatever you're having, big pot of tea. Settle back, because this is going to take a little while. Now, I've got to say, I'm not going to go through every sprue just to see Ryefield sprues that we know about, because some of them will not be different from in their other kits. So I'm really going to focus when I get the kit out and the plastic just on the ones that we know are going to be interesting, so that it's all the extra parts and the cutaway parts. Anyway, it's kit number 5131, there we go. An absolute monster. £87, a lot for a Tiger. I've got that really nice Tiger from Tamiya. It cost me £15. I did have to spend extra for the frill tracks. That was about another 30 quid, I think. But anyway, have a look at this, because we've got some very impressive stuff going on here. And this is going to give you a flavour about what's in it. If you like a Tiger 1, this could well be the kit for you. Now then, showing you a lot of this cutaway effect. I mean, creates like a museum piece where you can see the interior. And isn't that the problem with these kits? If you have the full interior, what is the point if you can't see it? I'm zooming in too much. There's not much point if you can't see the interior, though, is there? And with this one, you will see it. Whether people like that as a style, that remains to be seen. Really down to personal choice, isn't it, really? But you see there's a lot of photo etch. We've got a huge amount of 3D and metal parts here. There's your 3D parts in the sort of pinky colour. Very interesting. And of course it's Ryefield models in Hong Kong. Other side, well, it's just the usual blurb really with all these sprue trees. But look at the number of sprues. Oh, look at this. There's a lot of plastic in the box, which is why it's not cheap. Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 sprues, plus a load of optional parts, including various cutaway elements of it. Some cutaway, some not cutaway. So we're really going to focus on what's interesting. We don't need another Ryefield review of Tiger, because I've done 2, maybe 3 of them now. But this is different. So we're going to focus on what makes it different, really. So bear with me, and we will see what we have got. Quite like the idea of it, though, because you will at least get to see what's inside a Tiger, and it's the only way, isn't it, really? Now there's a sprue I probably won't be bothering too much with. There's going to be a few. Look at that, shells. Dozens of them, look at it. Oh, here we go. Oh, I can hear Jason at model kit stuff. I can hear his blood pressure going right up. I can almost, over the airways, I can feel it. This is not going to impress him, I think. He's going to start, how much plastic is not being used? So there you go, look. You got two cutaway version and the non-cutaway version of the hull. So yeah, I mean, if you've got like Stuart has got, if you've got several of these Ryefield kits and you add this in, you could probably make another Tiger just by the bits that you haven't previously used by combining them up. My goodness, there's a lot of plastic. This really is going to take a while. I'm going to try and keep it as short as I can there. Oh, a number of bags, a number of screws, it's unbelievable. Oh Lord, goodness me, doesn't lose anything. Yeah, he just popped up a few days ago, did Stuart, and said, "You sure you don't want to look at this?" I was like, "Yes, please." As soon as he told me what it was, if it was just going to be a regular Tiger, I probably wouldn't have bothered, but here we go. So, starts off with, this is rather nice, get my controls. So you've got this nice bit of an extra sort of colour illustration here, like an artwork, which is like the one on the cover of the box art, showing it with its cutaway effect. And then on the other side, it's your side, isn't it? Yeah. On the other side, it's showing you what's included, and gives you a visual paint guide. Now I do like this when Ryefield and Tacom do this, don't they? Yeah, quite like this. It's showing you the colours because we need that, you know. And then showing you the underside here of the turret. Here's the underside, isn't it? I think that's seen from underneath, isn't it? I think I'm right. It's kind of hard to tell. Is it? No, it can't be. Now it's seen from the top. Sorry, my imagination. Let's just go a bit closer. There you go. Because I'm looking at the breech as a guide. The loading area gives it away, really. But yeah, it gives you all the colours, so that's very helpful. So we'll be very careful with that. We don't want to crease it or anything. Gentle. There we go. Then we've got our quite a meaty instruction book, which we will have a quick flash through. And we've also got a separate, like, instruction guide. This is where sometimes they go a bit wrong, Ryefield. At least this one isn't just falling to bits like a great little hobby one does. It is integrated into one sheet, just one sheet of paper. So I've really got a problem with this plastic because there's just so much of it now, it's overcrowding me. So I'm going to have to put it down there and then refer back to it in a few minutes, because otherwise I won't be able to move. There's this one. I'll go through them. I say there are some I won't bother with. I don't think it's particularly exciting, just to keep the time of this video to a reasonable length. I'm going to have to bomb through it really. But here you go, you've got a sheet here which gives you, again, it doesn't say what it is, there's no heading or titles or anything. And basically I think it's for all the extras, it's all the 3D printed. It should just say that, 3D printed guide, you know. Why is that so hard? I don't understand what Ryefield's problem is. And again, you end up with a blank sheet, which is very weird, isn't it? It's all a bit after the Lord Mayor's show, isn't it? A bit of an afterthought, you know what I mean? However, the clarity is fairly good. It tells you about the smoke discharges, etc. Zoom you in a bit more for this so you can see what I'm going on about. So it just feels a bit haphazard when it just pops out like that on top of the rest of it. So you've got, it's basically your PE and your resin parts, is what the guide is. You've got some PE armour that goes across the back, protecting the exhaust system. You've got some headlights or side lights here. It is the headlight, isn't it? I think. You've got the drive sprocket in 3D printed. That looks cool. Come to that in a second. And then on the other side we have got those side skirts we spoke of that protect the track, keep the weather off it, etc. That's in PE, and then it shows you the mud guards as well, also PE. So it's quite a lot of different, it's a multimedia kit this for sure. A few brackets that go on the top. Fire extinguisher, it mentioned, there it is at the back, and then lots of all these little clamps. You see, how do you find this a little bit frustrating, you know, these little tiny clamps? This is a kit, I can tell straight away, for the perfectionist tanky, which is Stuart all over, isn't he? He's the man, he's the perfect customer for these guys, because he knows his tanks and he wants everything to be as realistic as possible. Again, PE, lots of little brackets and things going in there, and then on the back it's just your cupola, bits of the commander's cupola, I think it is. And then again, smoke discharges also in resin here. This is resin. All the sort of pinky red is resin. I mean, it's a fine. It already looks pretty impressive, I've got to say, because it's got some very fine parts, but I don't think the clarity is what it could be. I won't open this. It's just this photo etch. There's quite a lot of it, of course. Zoom in a bit more. Quite a bit of it. Yes. Yeah. As you can see, on the side some more. Nice though. Right, that's that out of the way. I don't want this to be one of those. Oh, wait a minute, there's more! Who was I kidding? Really? Oh yeah, this is the the stowage bins at the back. Now why would you really want those in PE though? Is it me? Am I being daft here? Am I missing something? Why would you want the rear stowage bin to be PE particularly? I thought I was imagining things when it seemed to show it in PE in that instruction, but it isn't. For me there's too much PE here. I'm not a big fan of it at the best of times. But I'm not sure that something big like the stowage bins, the PE somehow seems too thin to be scale-like, I think. Maybe it's just me. What do you think? Let me know in the comments or the chat. Then we have got our, and again I won't open this, I don't want to mess it up for him, but there's just some very, very tiny, lots of tiny stencils, very tiny, and then just our regular markings, you know. There's not much to see here really. A couple of names, Norben, name of the tank, and just your different numberings and your German crosses. That's it really. Right, whistle through that, didn't we? Let's have a look at the, I always dread Ryefields instructions. If I start to get cross and start having a rant. Well, there's no point, is there? Because, you know, they're not going to put any history in here, unfortunately. So we'll just get straight to it. Look at all those. Look at this lot. This is hard to take seriously. Look at it all. Sprue map. Goes on and on and on. We've got a metal barrel. So it just starts off basically with your bathtub style hole, building up the base, and then you've got the option of the cutaway parts. So in the cutaway parts you use the alternative one that's got the sections cut away. And again, you're going to get a lot of this where you have to pay careful attention. And certain parts have got a section cut out, some have and some haven't. A couple of PE parts there by the look of it, so that's suspension part in PE, resin I should say. And you get your interior and your driver's area, complete with pedals, etc. And you've got your Maybach engine. Sorry, it's transmission, isn't it? Who made the transmission for these? It wasn't Maybach themselves, I don't think, was it? Was it Porsche? Got a feeling about it Porsche. Anyway, that's building up your transmission, your rear axle. So your front axle, your drive transmission, I should say. And then you can see the transmission going in there. Is it the engine and the transmission in one? Can't be, can it? Surely. No, it's just the transmission. Engine's at the back, isn't it? It's a little bit confusing. Anyway, they mapped it all out for you, and then using for cutaway parts only. I get the feeling it might be a little bit confusing. This actually, it's almost like they should have had two different instructions. I think rather than keep going back and forth. I think it'd be better if they've had one instruction, small instruction leaflet for cutaway parts option of the tank, and another one if you're not doing the cutaway parts. Because I think it makes it a lot clearer. But here you've got your shells, and you've got some really nice looking ones there with, again, this is where a lot of those stencils come from. They're on the shells, aren't they? And here are the shells over here, metal ones anyway. Yeah, well, we won't look at those again, by the way, just tell you now, because we've seen them, the pins and the track links and pin system. We've seen that ad infinitum in the previous kits I've done recently. I'll put that one away. But just going back to the... Sorry, just going jumping around. Stop. So you do basically building up all the interior, the lower interior of the hull, including all the stowage boxes. Then you've got your ammunition racks, and this is a big part of this tank. There's ammunition stored all over the place, as you can see. Then we've got some more PE. Huge amount of PE in this. It's probably got the most PE I've seen in the kit recently, certainly in the last couple of years. And then we've got all these internal areas. There's a little bit of armour plating between the areas where these 88mm shells are stored. And then you've got your... It's got the drive shaft, is it? Drive shafts they're showing? Yeah, it's the drive shafts. Yeah, this is what's confusing me about, because I'm not that familiar with the actual internal workings. There must be a drive shaft between the gearbox and the engine, because there it is, it comes through that. It comes through this orifice, and that's where the engine is, and the gearbox at the front. So the gearbox is right at the front, the engine is right at the back. Well, that's wise, I'm not sure, because if a Sherman Firefly pierces the front, the gearbox is gone. Which is what happened, I think, occasionally, from time to time. Anyway, so there we are, answers the question. Then we've got some good images. I do like the way Ryefield do this kind of a photographic style, albeit CAD rendered, but quite a good one. It gives you clarity about where things sit. And then we're going to get into the cooling system and the fuel tanks at the back. Then you've got your Maybach engine. Yeah, this is exactly what I expected. So the Maybach engine going in. I mean, it's a proper education building a kit with this much detail, because you do learn so much about them, you know. I just wish there was some description. It would be such a better experience. They've got all this in beautiful detail, but they're not educating you with words, and you need the words to match up to the components and understand exactly what's what. It'd be far more of a learning and immersive experience if they had a bit more descriptive data. Anyway, you've got a bunch of what looks like air filters here on the top of the engine, and then your engine's going to be going and dropping in here, and then there it sits at the back with it's got the fuel and oil tanks either side of it, and the cooling system as well. Cooling fans, two cooling fans per side. Oops. And then we get all the plumbing. This is where it gets really complicated, actually. A lot of plumbing indeed. All the unions, you can see them as well. Very detailed, isn't it? This is what I get so frustrated with this company in particular, because they are so good at representing the actual real parts, but they can't tell you what they are. Why can't they just have somebody go through it that's, you know, from one of the museums, and just get it translated into, you know, from German if necessary, and get translated into Chinese and into English and blah blah. It wouldn't be that much of a deal, and it would, you know, they could put another £5–10 on the price of the kit, and I would forgive them if they would just do that. I really would. Anyway, back end now coming in here, all sorts of parts with no idea what they are. This is why I'm getting cross, you know. You can see there's like a universal. What is that? Here, look closely. You've got these universal joints, like a drive shaft on either side. I'm just trying to understand what it is. I think it's the drive shafts that operate the cooling fans. So there's like a direct drive to the cooling fans. They're not worked electrically. They're actually driven, almost like a little Formula 1 drive shaft with a universal joint on each end. Wow, that's impressive. Anyway, then you're going to build up the back end. You start to work on things like the jack here. That's the jack. And then you've got the rear wall of the tank where you've got your exhaust present, building up the exhaust. And again, you've got a load of PE photo etch around it. And I think there's the option of PE or plastic on these. It's kind of the early version now, so it's different, isn't it? I think that's why it looks to my eye a little bit different, because it's an initial production. It didn't have the really bigger, beefier armour plate shrouds around it that they had later on. It's almost like a bit of an afterthought, the metal armour plate that they've just bolted on. You can see, I mean, by its very design, it's like bent tin, isn't it? And I suppose that's why in this case the photo etch does work. You can see it there, can't you? The appearance of it. Then you got your MG34, I think it is, that's going in there. It is an MG34, isn't it? Yeah. It will be again early war, won't it? G34. And then you've got that going through the front glasses, through the and you've got the viewing, the gunner's viewing window, slit, if you will. Dropping that front glasses plate in, and then again for the cutaway parts you've got different ones because it's got like literally a cutaway section in it, so you can see. I think that's less effective the way they've done that because it's only a tiny cutaway, not sure. But there's no roof on the top, so it does work because you can see from the front and from the top as well. And again, confusion or potential confusion with, be sure to use the right part because for the cutaway bits, they're not always. It's not the actual cutaway section. It may not be that obvious to you. Now we've got these road wheels, and it mentioned that we had road wheels which were resin. Is that right? Right, let me just check that. 3D printed. The drive wheels, not road wheels. No, just the drive wheel. I misunderstood. Right, okay, so you're putting all your road wheels on into leaving those there, including your resin drive wheel, drive sprockets, which we'll get to in a minute. And again, for the cutaway section, you're using different ones. Some of the actual road wheels are cutaway themselves, as you will see. I'll get to it in a minute, but you can see there that we've actually got a section like cutaway. I know some of you are saying it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick, but it's good though. It saves you doing it, doesn't it? It's an option for you. And then we have got our link and pin tracks, and you always know you're going to have a bad day when it says make 96 pieces per side. You're thinking, oh, with the little jig, a little jig with the pins going in either side. The only thing that always bothers me is they're very delicate, these pins. You've got to be careful when you're doing this. You can't just go at it like a blind woodsman or whatever, And then here you have a section where there's a missing section for the cutaway model option, because that's going to have the cutaway of the wheels, so you can see them as well. Then we're getting onto the other side. You're getting all the usual stuff coming in, all the hatches on top of the engine deck, all your usual tools and hatchets and axes and spades, wire cutters, etc, etc. Towing cables, your grills for your cooling system on the top, the main top deck of the hull. And again, here we've got the cutaway section, so wow, yeah, that looks different. You can see it over here, in fact. Again, I will get into it properly, but you see how you got these cutaway bits? Looks a bit weird when it's on the sprue, I have to say, but there we go. So yeah, that's the way it's going to look over here. Standard version here with your normal top deck, or the cutaway section here with a big chunk of it on the port side chopped away. And then this is the way the instructions are going to go. The top pane is going to be for the standard version, and the bottom pane is going to show the cutaway sections. I do like it when you start to see things like the ammunition area, the storage area for the ammo. 88mm shells everywhere. Then we're going to do our gun barrel, which there's no difference in the cutaway, it's not affected by that. And then we've got a 3D printed resin muzzle brake. Got your main gun going through your glasses mantlet area. And then you're building up the breech of your 88mm cannon. Yeah, massive gun, isn't it? Terrifying weapon. Then you've also got your machine gun port here, which I think has another MG34. It's a short barrel one, isn't it, if I remember correctly. And then you've got your turret ring here. You're mounting for all your the turret mountings for things like the seats for the gunner and the commander's area. And here it's got the turret traverse ring when you wind it back and forth, because I don't think it was electric at the beginning, was it? Somebody might correct me on that. I don't think the initial production were electric, but I could be wrong. I think this certainly has an override manual winding ring anyway. Then we've got jerry cans here. and you've got some little stowage boxes, adding in all your jerry cans into the side of the turret. There's no space wasted in these tanks at all. All sorts of things on the inside of the turret, like lights. Looks like some sort of radio or something they've got in there. And a torch. There's a pistol port on the side as well. Yes, because the early ones had a pistol port, didn't they? And then, yeah, just filling it out with all these various items that go decorate around the side, on the other side as well. And then bringing the internal sort of operational part of the turret into the turret outer shell. And again, for the cutaway version, you have a cutaway side wall for the turret. And then here, bringing it all together, attaching your two sides of your turret, then onto the actual mounting of the 88mm gun, bringing it down, or in the case of the cutaway version, doing the cutaway version, as you can see, which is going to display the side of the port side. Just a couple of other brackets and things, part of the sighting system. Is that the? I think it's just like a couple of support brackets for the way that the breech is operating. And then various elements of the internal structure of the roof of the turret. Parts that actually help to operate the latches, etc., for the actual cupola hatch, the turret hatch. And then you're building those little hatches into the cupolas here. And again, we've got one standard and one that's cutaway. And then over here, we've got these smoke discharges, and you saw that in the additional instructions. Smoke discharges on the side, and it comes with these nice resin ones. Over here, you've clearly got the plastic option for the rear stowage bin, or you've also, remember, got the option to do it in photo etch. Honestly, on that one, I go with the plastic person. I'm not convinced the photo etch will look that brilliant. I think the plastic one with the photo etch brackets will look far better. And then ultimately, that's your Tiger done. You just put your turret in, and we're good to go. Good to go. What's that trying to say? There's two different options depending on whether it's cutaway or not. And there we go. And then we get our colour call out at the end. North Africa Tunisia, just like the one that's at the Tank Museum, isn't it? And then on the other side, you've got another option, but it doesn't tell us where they are. So that's a bit of a letdown, isn't it? Abteilung 501 or the Tiger Regiment 7 doesn't say any location. They just fall at the last final hurdle, don't they, every time, you know? Why can't Ryefield get it into their heads that customers spending £87 on a kit, Stuart's very forgiving, I've got to say, because he loves Ryefield. But I can see why. But we even had a discussion and slight disagreement about this about a week, 10 days ago. And I can see that they are a fine manufacturer, but they're just being bone idle and letting us down on something that's very simple to put right. If they bothered to put a bit of data in there and just do it, even like Meng do, just saying, this is the cooling system, da da da. That's all they need to do. They don't have to go into war and peace on it. We don't want that. A little bit of data on the front about, where it's served and blah blah, the basics. And on the back, to suddenly tell you where one's not been operating and not the other two, it just doesn't make sense. It's not even logical, is it? There's not a consistency there. It drives me absolutely crackers, because if they just got those things right, they'd be the best manufacturer. Jason at Model Kit stuff would beg to differ. Anyway, but he has built it in all fairness. So, anyway, we're able to get into what divides us. I want to talk about what unites us. Right, let's look at the parts then. Let's do it. So, again, I think I'm not going to bother. So, turret, no, we're not going to bother with that because we've seen it all before, again and again. And I'm not going to bother with the, the standard bathtub again. No reason to, is there really? let's focus on the interesting parts we haven't seen before, what makes it different. So let's get this resin 3D printing out. Great place to start, I think. Now then, everything is bagged separately. See, their presentation on the actual physical kit is brilliant. It's just whoever does the instructions. It's a bit like Kinetic. Their kit wasn't as good as a Ryefield, though. Let's not kid ourselves. But they've got some imbecile who is writing the instructions. That is the problem that they seem to have. Think I'm being too harsh? It's not being done well, though, is it? Let's be honest. So anyway, let's have a look at this. Here's our barrel. Zoom in properly and start ranting now. Here we go. It's all predictable if I'm going to do one of these, isn't it? You know what's going to come out. It's going to be absolutely 10 out of 10 for the plastic and like 6 or less out of 10 for the instructions. So here's our gun barrel, our turned gun barrel, which is a nice one. Yep, I like that. Yeah, that's very nice. Then we have our beautiful resin muzzle brake. Which, sorry, if you just bear with me 1 second. But yeah, look at those cutaway wheels while I'm trying to get this bag open because it's a really tricky one. Here we go. Here we are. Now this is something a little bit special. Look at that. So this is the full-on resin 3D printed gun barrel muzzle. Flash eliminator. It's a little hard to get the full effect of it because it has obviously got the sort of sprue of the 3D printing tree on it, but I think you can tell that that is pretty damned nice. I mean, that is just epic, really. You've just got to be very careful. These 3D printed parts, they do require very careful cutting away, don't they? Got to be very gentle. Make sure you've got super fine and super sharp cutters. Something like, what have I got? Either God Hand or maybe these Tamiya ones that are very fine at the end. Ideal. Actually, I've even got finer ones than that. I've got the Zokimura ones here. Zokimura. And they're very fine-ended ones as well. Anyway, I'm digressing. So, all in all then, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Okay. Now then, drive sprockets. Whoa! Wow! I mean, that is just a wow moment, isn't it? Look at those. Completely 3D printed. All in one piece. I mean, we saw that Tacom, the Grief, Hanamag half track, and it had a different way of doing it. It had some parts of this were kind of 3D printed and resin, and then the rest was all separate parts, but that's completely made in one piece. Look at that. This is when you realise what 3D can do. It's quite remarkable, isn't it, really? Yes, that's impressive, I've got to say. No question. So we'll pop those away. Yeah, pop that in its bag. Then we've got the hatch. Oops. 3D, again 3D printed hatch. I think it's the Commander's hatch cover. So look at the internal detail we've got here now. Remember that 3D printing is always difficult to photograph. It never gives very good contrast. It needs painting ready for it to work. Well, I think you get the picture. It's got super detail, especially where the hinge goes. Can you see that where the hinge goes at the 5 o'clock as you're looking at it? It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. That's very good. That's nice. Then we've got the cupola itself, the early cupola. It was changed quite a lot, I think, on the later Tigers, wasn't it? They added lots of periscopes, didn't they, later? Which it doesn't have on the early one. Here it is. So here's the early cupola. You can see it's got no periscopes around it. It's very plain, really. Interesting. That's the sort of Mark 1 version of the Tiger. And on the inside, like that. Okay, now then, what does that leave? Then we have got all the other, this is fantastic, look at this. All of the other 3D printed items, which are all on one sort of a tree. Just going to just pop this out. And you can see it's got everything. It's very efficiently done, this. So you've got headlights, towing eyes, you've got fire extinguisher. Is that loose? Is that my imagination? Sure, that it is loose. I'm not sure why it's loose. Fire extinguisher, which seems to be loose. Oh, I don't think that came off this sprue though, did it? I don't think it did. That's what threw me. It was at a funny angle. Then you've got your smoke discharger brackets, which are sort of here on my whoops, here and here. Where my finger is. They're nice, aren't they? Hatch covers. Just looking at the list of things, it's got cable eyes, drive, muzzle brake, smoke discharger. Oh yeah, these are the actual smoke canisters themselves. So I was trying to figure out what these were. It's the smoke canisters. Then you get your little headlights. Beautiful though, isn't it, really? And that all goes in this little. It all goes in this little box very nicely. Like that. Put our fire extinguisher safely back in there. There we are. Quite impressive, isn't it? Yeah, we like that. And then there's just there's really just a standard Tiger. A lot of it won't get used, by the way, in this model. The standard Tiger sprue for the periscope sort of windows, which quite a number of them are not used because it doesn't have that many of them in this version. So that's that. So I'm going to pop those. Do they all come in one bag? This is where I'm getting a bit lost now. That was quite impressive though, I think you'll agree. It's very rare that I see Ryefield parts and think, meh, you know, they're not there. They have quite a wow factor, don't they? There's no doubt about it. So let me just get these back in here safely. Everything to be where it belongs. And there, I think. One in there as well. Right, we've got our barrel. Then we've got some 88mm shells, which is going to be quite nice to see. I'll just get one of them out. We've also got some wire here. It's actually the aerial, which are not like some, is it? Great Wall Hobby that obviously you've got to melt your own, and it just annoys me, to be honest. But this one's got a proper, like a whip aerial. Here it is. In brass, I think it is. Is it brass? Yeah, I think so. Let's get to focus. A little bit of focus, if you please. There we go. There we are. There you go. There's your whip aerial. See that? Gold. There we are. That's better. See it now. Which is cool. Then we've got our little 88mm shells. Let's just move that so there's no more silliness. There we go. Now again, these have got, just like we saw with the Jagdpanther, I think it was, these have got like a stub on the back, which I never really understood this the first time. Does it have a base then? I'm still not clear about how this works. In fact, I'm so unclear about it. Can you see what I mean? It's like a pin on the bottom of it. I'm not convinced that that's supposed to stay on there. I thought they had perhaps a little base that goes on. Let me just check this with the instructions. I want to know, once and for all, what this is all about. And it isn't all that clear. Not to me. Let's have a look. Good old look, see. Put them in there. Close it up so nothing gets lost. Put that in there as well. There we go. Right. What's the story with these shells? Because that's not all to do with it. When you get your shells, how are they supposed to be used? Because it shows that there's a decal for the striker pin on the bottom of the actual shell, and then you get a whole ton of these plastic ones. Now mislaid. Where are they? Here they are. Here's the plastic ones. Now they don't have a pin on the bottom of them. I'll just prove the point by getting them out. Or is the point that they are positioned in a way that you can't see the base of them on those metal ones? It might be. So here is your standard plastic option. This way. And you'll see that they don't have a pin at the bottom. Yes, there's, annoyingly the sprue contact goes there, which kind of annoys me with Ryefield. If you remember that Meng did it better, they had it not on the base where there is a decal and a striker pin, so they moulded it better. This is the one thing on the Ryefield Tiger that I can see kind of lets it down slightly. It's only a tiny point, I know. It's just a bit annoying. It's like they haven't thought about it, sort of thing. But yeah, there's a sprue gate contact point there, but there's no pin. So why have they got these pins then on the metal version? This is what I'm not quite getting. So if you just bear with me for a second, I'm going to try and get to the bottom of this. I'm suspecting that they want you to show that you're going to show them in such a way that you can't see behind them, and it enables them to be turned in that way, and the pin is just the base of where it was attached to another part of the turning process. I think. I'm guessing. I am guessing. Doesn't make it super clear about where you use the four metal ones. Unless I'm missing something, I just don't see it. No. No. Forgive me for doing this, but I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it for you. Is it loading in the breech? No. It just doesn't make it specific, telling you where to use those four metal ones at all. I'm thinking that you would use them. If you think about the artwork here, there's the artwork. It shows that you can see quite more than four, can't you, there? So it's not as if you're just supposed to use them on the side where it's only going to be seen. There's more than four that's visible. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's almost like a novelty thing, really, without any specific, directions of how to use them. It's a little bit strange. A little bit strange. Just going to have a sip of water because it's very warm today. I found that odd. Doesn't make any sense to me at all. They've not been clear with the directions. Anyway, there you go. There's your plastic shells which you've seen before. At least you know what I'm talking about now. Let's now have a look at some of these interesting cutaway parts. That's really where we want to go and have a good old nosy. So, starting with the bathtub hull. Okay. It looks a bit strange the way they've cut it away, really. It's a bit too... it's not random enough, is it, somehow? The shaping of the cutaway, I mean, look at this. See what I mean? It's a bit odd, isn't it? I'd have thought something a bit more flowing and a bit more rounded off would have been better. But anyway, there's certainly nothing wrong with the idea of it. And this is exactly where all your ammunition is stored, of course, we've just been talking about. So that's that one. Then we have got the all these on this separate sprue. We've got the cutaway top of the deck and the turret, which is going to be interesting, I think. As we talked about, you can clearly see we've got the cutaway wheels for the tops of the wheels that are affected in that zone. Now that's better, isn't it? With a sort of, you know, it's like a crescent moon sort of shape. Looks a bit better to my eye than what we just saw elsewhere. But again, they've got this very I don't really like this jaggedy, angular sort of cutaway element to it. I don't know if it's just my personal preferences, but it all seems a bit weird, really. It makes it look a bit... It's not like a normal cutaway, is it? It's a bit overdone somehow. Yeah, the shaping of it, it's all jaggedy and angular. Not sure why they're doing that, really. And then here on the actual side of the turret, that's not such a problem. You know, they haven't done it there really. They've made it more kind of more sensible. And then the top of the turret itself, again, jaggedy. You know, jaggedy, cutting it out. Just not sure why they've done that. The front mantlet here, again, rather. I just think it would have looked better, been a bit more rounded off everything. But there we go. So you can see then there's the internal part as well. Here's the internal part of it's that way around as you would see from the inside, isn't it? Where the machine gun port is. And all these parts are cutouts, you know, different elements of the cutouts. I like the concept of it. I just a bit taken aback by why it's so angular and I don't know. It just doesn't look. Normally, when somebody does a cutaway in a tank, it's a little bit more subtly done. Not this almost modern art type of style, if that's the right way to put it. I think I've done this badly actually. Let's do that the other way around. Bear with me a second here. A slight issue here. You know, I'm just not sure how. You know, you see that when you see them in a museum. I mean, you've got it in the Imperial War Museum. Was it the Jagdpanther? I think they got some cutaway elements. Was it Jagdpanther? I think it was. But it doesn't look like that. You don't have it. These sort of weird angular elements to it. It's kind of distracting somehow. Right, there we go. Put them back in. That one's done. That one's done. What have we got now? Quite a few more. And we've got that one we've seen on the other kits. I'm going to try and focus on. Yeah, you see there's a lot. Here's your stowage bins, which we spoke of, and there's nothing wrong with these at all. Quite why you'd need to get the old photo etch out for this. Not sure really. I don't see that stowage bin as being ugly or out of scale or anything wrong with it whatsoever. So why you'd want to portray that with photo etch, I don't know. There are a lot of parts here I'm not going to open the bags on because I just don't see any point. You know, we know what these Ryefield Tigers are like. They're very beautiful, but they have a lot of parts, many of which you may not use. And here we've got all the torsion bars. Torsion bars here. And your conventional sprockets. So there again you've got parts you're not going to use. Jason at Model Kit stuff, I can feel his blood pressure rising when he sees this. He's not going to be very happy. And I can see why in some respects. The trouble is it's 87 quid, it's not a cheap model, and you know, you've got so many different versions. Why can't they just do a version that's cutaway only at 40 quid? Yeah, that to me, £40–45 would make more sense. And then, interestingly, here's an interesting point. I will open this bag. I'll explain why in a second. If you just bear with me. It says, yeah, there's a reason we need to open this, because we need to talk about those exhausts that I alluded to in the photo edge. Now, here is the plastic. Yeah, this is quite a good spread to talk about. So we've just talked about the storage bins at the back. Before I actually got it out. I say there's nothing clumsy or out of scale about the way that is represented. It looks absolutely bang on to me. So quite why you need to go into photo etch for that, I don't know. But here, this is the interesting point I was going to show you. This is the very crude early production armour plate shrouds that are around the exhausts. It's basically bent steel, really, steel sheet that's been bent. Now the photo etch there, I think, will work because it just gives that slightly more sort of scale-like, possibly, effect of the metal. In other areas, I don't think it's needed at all. And then we've got many other little parts all over the place, including towing eyes, which you won't use because you've got the resin ones, the 3D printed resin. So again, there's a lot on this sprue that probably could end up not being used, which may irritate some of you who've built these before. He knows who I'm talking about. Yeah, I just think it's a slightly odd one. It's like Ryefield are saying to you, yeah, we will produce this very innovative option of having a cutaway, but we're not going to bother to filter out all the parts that you won't use. We're just going to charge you for everything. That basically is it. So to get what you want, you've got to pay for. I've done here. Straight. To get what you want, you've got to pay for absolutely everything, and then discover that a great deal of it won't be used at all. I'm afraid that's a bit of a frustration. Again, won't bother opening the bag because we've seen them again and again. But this is the Ryefield. Many links. 96 is it per side? Ouch! There's a lot of links, a lot of work. Why they can't do link and length, I'm not sure, but they are very nicely moulded. That's for sure. We're not talking AF Club here, we're talking premium. Then, we've got all the usual things. We've got our Maybach engine, which I'm going to get this out because this is actually quite nice and I think it's worthy. Have a closer look. This is the full detailed interior. So here's your Maybach engine. So it's a petrol engine on these, isn't it? What is it? Can't remember. Is it V12? I think it is. Memory's gone. V12 petrol, I think. It's quite a big old engine. Some lovely detail though. Absolutely fantastic. Look at that. Yes. Yes, very nice. That's where your air filters go on the top in here. There they are. That's your air filters. Huh. And then you've got all this beautiful, very nicely moulded this. The coolant hosing with all the little unions and clamps, jubilee clips, or whatever the Germans call them. Very nice though, isn't it? Exquisite detail. Very good indeed. Flawless. That bit you will use, I think, on this version. The engine. Then we have, what have we got here? Another option on the stowage box at the back, I think, isn't it? And yeah, it's the kind of things we've seen previously. So we've got our jerry cans, and you've got all your little tools which we've seen before. Hatchet, spade, etc, etc. Seen all that. Bog standard road wheels we've seen before. These are the standard drive wheels for the tank. Yeah. Now, this one is worth a look. So this is our internals for our turret. This is definitely worth a look. Now then, here we go. So you've got your floor of the turret with all the sort of grid, embossed grid hatching for grip. It's pretty nice, isn't it? You've got the turret ring itself, and you flip it over, and you've just got a myriad of beautiful small parts, which is definitely worth seeing. These are your handles for your jerry cans. And the jerry cans themselves, by the way, they're over here. And then you've got incredible, all these fine detail controls, trim wheels, winding wheels, hatch latches. It just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? Here's your machine gun that goes through the turret in the breech area, and there's the gun itself, the gun barrel. It's splendid, really. It's really nice, really nice, really nice. A work of art. I mean, they do mould them beautifully, I must say that. Absolutely fantastic. I've always told with Ryefield, I always love the plastic, you know, but I am told they can be very challenging to build, and there can be accuracy issues, I am told. So I can't really comment on that personally. However, gosh, getting near the end. What are we actually going to look at here? Anything worth seeing? Some yes, some no, I'd say. Here we go again. You know, this is this thing that Jason has moaned about, and I understand where he's coming from. You know, we've got 3 different types of mantlet here, glasses plate for the gun. You know, 3. Do we need 3 in the same kit that we're paying for 87 quid for? Do we? You've got your turret ring here with the gears on it, which is very nice. Yeah, they're doing that pretty well. Again, here's your stowage box at the back, the rear turret stowage bin, which, to be honest, is done really nicely. And this is this the 3rd one that we've seen, 3rd version of it in this kit? It's got the latches on it for the locks, 2 locks. Not sure that that's necessary either. Bit wasteful. And then you've got all your usual amazing detail. The fans, they look absolutely brilliant. They're really beautifully done, actually. Look at the detail there, that's absolutely incredible. Here's the sort of the intakes for them. Yeah, very nice. Lots of lovely detail there. Nothing wrong with that. And then, last but not least, we've got the transmission. We'll get this out. Before I sit in judgment. Oh dear. Is it worth 87 quid? I'm sure you can get it cheaper than that, by the way, but oh, that's very flimsy. Isn't it flimsy, that? Whoa! I didn't expect that. It's a very flimsy old sprue. Look. Ooh. This is your transmission here. I say, I feel it's a Porsche transmission. And this is your internal bulkhead where the drive shaft comes through from the engine. You're looking forward, goes through there towards the front of the tank. But again, some absolutely stellar injection moulding going on here. Quite astonishing levels of detail. I mean, it's a masterpiece. I mean, I sound a bit critical. It's a masterpiece of a kit in terms of the actual quality. Only let down by its silly, slightly confusing instructions at times, lack of historical data. I personally, don't know how to say this. The only disappointment or surprise for me in this kit that I've just seen is the way they've done the cutouts. I don't like the way they've done it. I think it looks kind of weird. It's kind of almost looks like it's been hit by a shell in several places rather than actually an intended cutout. I don't find it very attractive to the eye. I'm not talking about cutaways generally. I'm talking about the way that they have done this one. It's this jaggedness, yeah. Zoom in again so you can get an overall picture of what I'm talking about. It's a strange angularity that they've gone for in the way they've done the cutaway, really. So here, for example, you know, it's weird. Why couldn't they just had a rounded, sort of slightly more... I'm not saying it has to be a uniform shape or symmetrical or anything like that. I'm just saying it needs to be a bit more... it just looks a bit weird to me. And again, the front here. This looks quite weird, I think, as well. And then down the side. There. Something a bit odd about it. I think it's a bit of an acquired taste, anyway. But I think the way they've done the wheels, that's great. Here, that's fine. It's just this jagged, weird stuff they've got. It's kind of put me off it a bit, because I like the concept. It's just a bit, I don't know, it's a bit ham-fisted, or it's like they're trying to do origami with it. I'm not really sure what down here. Anyway, I'm going to have to lift this carefully. Whoa, there we go. Typical jack in the box, that's never going to go back in. It's going to need some major work to get that lid back as it was when I opened it. It's quite obvious that, you know, Stuart has not touched it. It's about an inch or so proud now. I like it, but I think for £87 the retail price, it feels a bit overpriced to me. And I wonder how many of these they're going to actually sell. I think the concept is good. I just don't like the way they've executed it. The shapes are really weird, and they're kind of confusing as well. They don't follow, you know, they've kind of got a cutout and then not a cutout. It's just a bit strange, a bit clumsy. So, I mean, I like the quality of their moulding, it's brilliant. Their instructions and clarity in terms of saying which parts to use, once I got past the first page or two, was alright actually. But lacking in, what lets it down of course is this lack of any data and any history, which is frustrating, especially to £87, it's not acceptable. So I'm going to say 9.25 out of 10. I think it's kind of fair, if not generous. Again, this thing here, this is a bit curious, the way they've got these, they've got like the nub at the bottom of the turned shells. Doesn't tell you to cut them off, doesn't tell you where to use them. I can see it's a bit confusing again, not clear. They're just, you know, they've got all the harder stuff they've got right, and the easy stuff they're making a total mess of it still, I think. And with the cutouts, I'd say stop being trying to be so, you know, modern artish about it, and just have a simple cutout. That's what people want. They want to see inside, and they don't want to have the eye confused by weird shapes which just sort of detract from it somehow. 9.25 out of 10, I think is a fair score. But what do you think? Thank you very much to Stuart. I really appreciate him letting me see that. Pretty much, I've handled it before he's handled it. That is for sure. So I really appreciate that. And it is a nice kit. If somebody gave me that for Christmas, I wouldn't be sitting there with a long face. I can promise you. So lovely kit. Just needs to be cheaper. I think they could have executed it a little bit better. But some of those things, like some of that 3D resin, are very impressive indeed. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Hope you'll give me a like. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Please stay tuned for future productions. In the meantime, look after yourselves, stay well, stay safe, and I hope to catch you in the near future. In the meantime, thanks very much, and bye for now.